Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Section 305, the sports show. I'm Raul Pagan with my colleague Anthony Aguirre. We're trying to help out Nick. He's having a little technical issues, mostly internet. So let's see if he can come join us. But me and Anthony had to get the show on the road. We are now in the Eastern Western Conference Finals. Also, big news, whether it is for the good or bad, from the Dallas Mavericks. Anthony, how's it going? I missed you guys in the last episode. Had a lot
Yes,
going.
yes, sir, man. We had a fun time. We missed you too. Been very busy. Right now, I know college baseball ain't that hyped. Like so much compared to football and basketball. But listen, ACC tournament underway. The
Yes,
Hurricanes
of
made it. The
course.
Hurricanes just made it past Stanford in the second round, going to the quarterfinals against Boston College. So
Nice.
hey, should be a fun one.
Yeah, and also before we get to our latest topics in the NHL, Anthony, who are the teams that I selected to minimum at least make it to their conference finals and maximum to go all the way to Stanley Cup? Two teams that have been dominating the first round. Who would have
I
known?
I would not be able to answer that because I don't know.
So that would be the Colorado Avalanche, who
Hmm.
now play the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Going to be an interesting series. And then we got the Carolina Hurricanes
Hmm.
against the Montreal Canadiens. How are my picks going so far? None of you guys, if I'm not mistaken, pick one of those two to make it all the way to the Stanley Cup.
No,
Y'all went
but then but then,
biased.
but then again, my takes on hockey should be taken with a grain of salt, as you know.
No, but you can defend yourselves a lot.
Yeah,
You can
no,
defend
no.
yourself
Again,
a
that,
couple,
that that's just more
several
so
times.
of Nick's. That's more so Nick's territory than it is my own.
At the same time, your predictions weren't that bad, but weren't that perfectly accurate as our mind going. And also, we had something big going on last Saturday. Just a quick minute. How do you
Hmm.
feel about that 17-second submission from Ronda Rousey to Gina Carano? Two ex legends. One had a better and more career, which is Amanda Rousey. They have a 5 age different gap. Carano's 44. Ronda Rousey is 39. First time she's fighting since 2016 when she was knocked out by Amanda Nunes, one of the greatest. She's entered the UFC Hall of Fame. And then Gina Carano last fight was in 2009. So that was 17 years since her last combat, and mostly she's been doing like movies, which as an actress, she's been doing a good job. But 17-second, the main event, come on, man.
Well, that's got to be disappointing when you just from an event standpoint. Obviously, if this is the main event, and there has to be a lot of hype behind it. But
Of course, expectations.
damn,
What's crazy is that it had good reviews, like ratings, because you also had ex legend Nate Diaz, which it was the first time he was fighting in 4 years, but man, it was ugly. His second round loss to Mike Perry, like bloody all over the face. That was actually the most surprising combat of this event, held
Mhm.
by MVP, which is the company of Jake Paul, doing an amazing job as always. And then Francis Ngannou, also for the first time in the octagon since 2024, beats Philip Lins in the first round. So there were like many surprises. We were anticipating this type of UFC event, but it was mostly by OGs, like retired UFC fighters, male and female. The one that a lot of people basically predicted to win out of those three main cards was Francis Ngannou, first round, easy money. Nate Diaz, the way he lost, like technical knockout, his face was like you couldn't even recognize how bloody it was. And then you expect at least a round or two between Gina and Rousey, especially when Rousey's still like in fighting mode. She's been doing WWE for the past few years. But man, 17 seconds. I just wanna to basically hear your opinion on that quick topic before we go to our first headlines, which is focusing more on NBA.
Yeah, I don't got much to say on this. I've been heavily tied with anything hurricanes going on, and also just
Yeah.
where is Giannis gonna go? Obviously that's happening. So
I'm not gonna get my.
we will
I'm not
talk
doing
about
it. I'm
this in a
not
different
doing it.
episode. But
Yeah, I'm not. It's
those two
it's.
things have been
I
occupying my time out of
I
everything. So I can't give you my full opinion on it. But man, 17 seconds sounds crazy.
yeah, for the main event, but it's one of the quickest ends to a big fight we've seen in UFC history. Especially since Masvidal, legend, which he has the record for the quickest knockout in martial arts now. So yeah, I gotta stay away from Facebook and Twitter, especially from champs tweets and all that, because everything is circling like always on the
Yeah,
Miami Heat. On
you
the
can imagine
Miami
how
Heat, they're
tired
the
I am.
favorite.
You can imagine how tired I am writing a story
Yeah,
each and every week about this, but I got to do
yeah,
it, and it's tiring for all of us. But
yeah. And we're gonna have a lot to talk about in summer
yeah,
when
yeah, we
the
will.
NBA draft, free agency, the future of
Absolutely.
LeBron and Janice, which you guys had a topic about LeBron in the last episode.
Yeah,
College baseball playoffs, MLB regular season,
yeah.
and then at the same time, NFL training camp. The FIFA is right around the corner, so we're gonna be busy this whole summer when we actually thought it was gonna be flexible. So
Hey,
now,
we with it. We with it.
all right, so Anthony, since we're gonna be talking specifically about the NBA today, since we have a game going tonight, I
Yeah.
just got a big announcement to our public, guys. What
Woo!
a better place to go eat at the Metropol Restaurant located at the Dolphin Mall. Arroz
Mm-hmm.
mamposteao, congri, ribs, fried pork, you name it, tostones, fritura, fritura latina, Puerto Rican and Cuban cuisine. You can watch the rest of the playoffs there. They're gonna be having it live. Also, the next UFC boxing events are gonna be going around. Baseball right now, we're in the first half. You cannot pick a better place at the Dolphin Mall or anywhere in South Florida to watch every single sports event live at the Dolphin Mall. They'll treat you with royalty.
Yes, sir.
And also, people like us who are busy, you can also order it at Uber Eats and they go straight forward to your houses. All right, Anthony, let's go
Let's
with
get it.
our first topic. We continue mostly talking about NBA playoffs, but then we gotta conclude with a surprising move. I mean, the Mavericks have been doing a lot of them, whether it's for the good and the bad. We'll talk about it, but let's go and start with the NBA playoffs, which right now we're in the third round, both Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Both first games, I gotta say, were surprising in different outcomes.
Facts.
Let's go first with the one that, let's just say, has made history in a conference finals, especially with 7 minutes remaining. They were up 93-71. And all of a sudden, Jalen Brunson bullied James Harden. If it was not Jalen Brunson, it was Landry Shamet. It was not him, it was Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, everybody making big plays except Karl Anthony Towns. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. The second best scorer is where it has to have a more impactful. I know it's difficult against Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, but still, he needs to be consistent if they're going to win this series against the Cleveland Cavaliers and head to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. Cavaliers haven't gone since 2018 with LeBron James afterwards departure. Now, Anthony, for what we saw this
Mm-hmm.
week, did the Knicks find new life or did the Cavs fall flat?
The Cavs fell flat. I mean, I'm probably the only one on this show that's been a little more higher on the Cavs than anybody else, mainly because of what they did at the trade deadline. Again, I know they haven't used Keon Ellis as much, and Dennis Schroeder has been the backup primary point guard, and I get it. But man, I thought the Cavs should have taken this one. We should be talking right now how the Cavaliers stole Game One at Madison Square Garden. I'm by myself right now, but hey, I'll keep it going. We should be talking right now about the Cavaliers taking Game One at MSG in a dominant fashion. We should be talking about that today on this show. But instead, we're talking about how the Cavaliers allowed a 44-11 run between the end of the fourth and all of overtime. The Cavs only scored 3 points in overtime, and they had every chance to close this out, even with this whole
Comeback.
fiasco going
Yeah.
on. Keep
Yeah.
in mind, Sam Merrill had an open good look
That would end the game.
to
That would
end the
end
game.
the game.
Even
That would have been
dude,
heartbreaking for the Knicks. That
dude,
like
y'all
literally.
know like the whole like bang, like dude,
Bang! We
they
were
were
waiting for that
ready.
one. We
It
were
was
waiting
they
for
were
it.
ready, but then it went out. Like they had everything going for them, even in the worst moments. They had they had some things going for them. So I think this is a bigger issue on the Cavaliers than it is praising the Knicks. And granted, they put a great fight, but the Cavaliers are capable of taking this team and going belt to ass. They have the pieces, and the fact that they allowed this to happen, it's more of a coaching issue. How do you not call a timeout within the span of
Kenny
44 to 11 run?
I was
You don't
surprised.
call a timeout, and you say that you're saving your timeouts, and yet you let it happen. That is a big mistake on Kenny Atkinson. He's still a good coach, but that is a terrible decision as a coach. So Cavaliers fell flat.
I'm gonna go with Knicks find new life because I remember last Eastern Conference Finals against the Pacers. They also blew a big lead, and then
A
all of a
bunch of
sudden,
them.
a bunch of them, and the Pacers came back, made a rally, beat them in overtime. Either whether they would have lost in overtime like they did, or in the fourth quarter, because if Halliburton wouldn't have touched the line, that would have been literally the buzzer beater against them. That's why he started holding the choke signs like Reggie Miller did in
Yeah,
front of Reggie Miller, basically reminiscing those type of moments at the Madison Square Garden. Since
yeah.
his foot hit the line, it was tied game. They went to OT, and then the Pacers basically took control of the whole game. Now, why did I mention the Knicks find new life? They keep extending their winning streak. They've never had an 8-game winning streak in the playoffs. This goes back from the first round to the second round when they sweep the Sixers, and now winning game one against the Cleveland Cavaliers. 7 minutes, you're down by 22, and Jalen Brunson is fighting and fighting. And then even Mike Brown, the head coach, said, "No, what was our strategy? We literally attacked James Harden. Like he just couldn't stop a cold. He
Of
couldn't.
course.
He couldn't defend. And what's crazy is obviously his primary Brunson's primary defender was James Harden. But then when they switched with either Mikal Bridges, Landry Shaman, whoever had the ball, all of a sudden Harden is literally guarding them, and so they bullied him everywhere. Also, how can Donovan Mitchell and James Harden both combine from 1 out of 10 shooting, like in the last moments, or in general in that fourth quarter, and then
Well,
combining overtime? Like the Cavaliers look like they were gonna take this game easily after humiliating the Pistons, their home turf in Game 7. All of a sudden, you're saying, "Wow, Cleveland back since for the first time since 2018." Harden, first time he's there, if I'm not mistaken, since 2018 when the Rockets blew that lead. No, I mean, no, sorry, it was 2018 when the Rockets blew that 3-2 lead against the Golden State Warriors. And Game 7, Harden disappeared completely.
well,
And so,
I would just come to Mitchell's defense specifically in overtime. It
eh,
just it just see I only this
mm,
is the fact that it didn't seem like they were planning to get him involved. It just seemed like they were using him as a decoy and running it through Harden, which has not been a great recipe throughout the playoffs against Toronto, against Detroit. It's had good moments and bad moments, so you pick your poison there.
yeah.
But that's why I go back to the coaching being the biggest issue, because if you're giving Donovan plays off in overtime, that is a big issue. So to me, it just seemed more like they were not getting him involved at all, rather than, oh, Mitchell just didn't show up, in my
I'm
opinion.
I'm I'm not gonna disagree with Kenny Atkinson. He literally blew that game for
Yeah,
that team. I mean, he had 2 timeouts. He said that he wanted to utilize it 3 minutes remaining in the game, which most coaches utilize that strategy. But
yeah,
when you see that the team is down from 22 to all of a sudden 10 points, man, you gotta stop the bleeding.
1000%.
You gotta stop the bleeding there. Even though you're gonna have one timeout for the remainder of the game, maybe that one of those 2 timeouts that you utilize for when they made that big run. Actually, you could have settled plays.
Hmm.
It could have stopped the momentum for the New York Knicks. They're fast paced, etc. And you could have created, designed different plays so their offense could go back to what we were seeing in the first three quarters. But Donovan Mitchell, he balled out. He scored 29 points. I get that, Anthony, but when they need you most to basically seal the game for your team, when you're the new face of that franchise, you replace Darius Garland, traded to the Clippers for Harden, somebody that can distribute the ball better than Garland, because Garland's more of a scorer. And you said it in one of our latest episodes that the backcourt was never gonna work between
No.
Garland and Donovan Mitchell, and that's why
Hmm.
the Cavaliers had to go through a different direction. I mean, this
Yes.
dude defensively also did a good job. 6 steals, 1 block, turnovers. Yeah, 4 in total. It was a little issue, but the
Hmm.
biggest is when you literally are not producing at all compared to Sam Merrill, compared to like Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, who were making a couple of plays down the end just for the team basically not blow that lead. You weren't there, especially in overtime. Then we'll get to Harden in the latest topic, but
Yeah, yeah, we got some for you.
what I'm trying to say, why the Knicks I felt like found new life. I mean, in the last 2 years, they've literally come back 4 times, including this postseason, down by 20 and won the game. And a Knicks team that throughout the season we've been talking about, do they have an identity? Because when you see the roster in paper, I mean, they got one of the best starters. That's the reason why they were one of the best teams in the East. That's the reason why they're back in the Eastern Conference Finals. They got scorers, perimeter defenders, they
Hmm.
got rebounders, and then you've got a better depth of bench with Mitchell Robinson, Jordan Clarkson. Look at what Landry Shamet did. X Factor, the
Miles
intensity of
McBride.
Miles McBride, one of the candidates for Six Man of the Year. Osal Alvarado brings intensity to the team.
Yes,
And
sir.
no, and what's shocking for me, not that Jalen Brunson scored 38 points. I mean, especially he went ballistic in the fourth quarter, including with his 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 28 to 15 shooting, 15 for 29 shooting, sorry. 7 for 10 from the free throw line. You got Mikal Bridges, who a lot of people were actually mentioning him, either him or OG Anunoby, to be an X factor for the Knicks the rest of the postseason because of what they can both produce offensive and defensively. But then people were getting worried about their inconsistency. Not OG Anunoby. It was mostly Mikal Bridges, and he made a
Yeah, he
big
had moments in the playoffs where it just
he
didn't look right.
exactly, and he made a big three down the stretch when they were making this big run. And then Landry Shamet, big X factor for this team. Only 9 points, but he went perfect from the 3 point line. And now let's talk about this team who actually was bad, both 3 point line and free throw line. They went 21 for 32 in the free throw line, 10 for 32 shooting from the 3 point line. It was mostly like perimeter shots, mid range, paint, etc., ball movements, which they actually did a decent job. But when you got a team that is shooting horrible, 3 point line, can't even defend themselves in the free throw line, and then you commit 17 turnovers, you're down by 22, 7 minutes remaining. Like, this was one of the weirdest, surprising outcomes. I literally was getting ready for bed, and all of a sudden I was like, what is going on? I'm about to turn off the TV. I gotta wake up for the radio station at 4 a.m. Like, why are they doing this to me, man? The same thing about San Antonio and OKC in game one. Double OT. Victor Wembanyama making history with 41-piece McNuggets, 24 rebounds. Like, the beginning of both conferences finals have been surprising, with San Antonio, who has been the kryptonite for OKC, stealing game one. And they match well against them. But now the Knicks, a team that a lot of people have been talked about throughout the season, because next year the East is gonna be better and a little bit more packed. It's not gonna be flexible as we were witnessing this season. You're gonna have a Boston team that are gonna make moves. Miami probably. Toronto is in the upcoming. Let's talk
Mm,
about Charlotte. Charlotte is in the upcoming,
I,
or unless you're disagreeing with the
no, I
Hornets.
disagree. No, I
eh,
disagree on the
the,
Toronto one because
the
Toronto, because specifically when Toronto, they're the kind of team that they'll pop up here and there, but in the playoffs, and granted they did good in this
they
series.
win 7 games against Cleveland.
I get it, I do get it, but I'm not convinced yet with neither with Scotty Barnes being your number one guy. I'm still not convinced.
No, I still feel Brandon Ingram is their number one guy,
Yeah, no,
but they
you're
but
like again, that's the only one I disagree with, but everything else, if they make the right moves,
yeah,
Boston, Miami, Charlotte, maybe in Philadelphia, maybe,
Philadelphia
maybe,
maybe
because
we got
here's
questions.
the thing, I will give credit here, because I'm one of the biggest Joel Embiid critics in the world.
Touche,
So exactly,
touche.
but he did really, really good in the playoffs. Even I will say this. So the
When
fact
he
that I'm
was
saying
when he well, I mean
when he
that
was
first
when
game.
he looked like he figured it out for a
I
moment,
mean,
especially in that Boston series, he looked like he finally figured something
I'll
out.
I'll say Boston series, yes, but
Yeah,
in
I'll
the
just say I'll leave it there.
but in the
I'll
but
leave
in
it
the
in the Boston series.
but in the next series they got swept. You
Yeah,
saw
but
he had
I'll leave it.
13 points in game one. Horrible. He didn't even play game two, and then game
Yeah,
three, four,
I'll
like he
listen.
didn't have that impact.
I'll leave it in the Boston series. He looked really good, and I've
Yeah,
been one to critique him so badly. Like y'all know this, Nick knows this, so I'm gonna give him credit there. So I'm just saying maybe if he can keep this momentum to some part in the off season, and maybe make the right moves around all those guys, maybe they could finally emerge. But that's again, these teams
uh,
are mostly a what if.
Halliburton is coming back for the Pacers. You gotta keep an eye on them, even
They gotta
though
make the right moves too because
they got
they
made a
gotta
couple
find
more
an
moves.
actual replacement for Miles Turner, a legit replacement.
Yeah, you seen the Detroit Pistons, which a lot of people are saying that they
Mhm.
disappointed against the Cleveland Cavaliers, especially Game 7. Like
And some
no fighting them, no fighting them at all. Kate Cunningham was a no-show. Like the only one producing there was Dennis Jenkins, and he had a good season. But when you were,
is not enough.
but when you were, especially when Cunningham was out, he was a starter replacing him, and he was balling. But then you saw him in a couple of games of the first round and second, and you're like, what is going on with Dennis Jenkins? Like he's completely disappeared. But then all of a sudden he comes back from his Cancun vacation, and all of a sudden he had big moments against the Cleveland Cavaliers. What I'm trying to say is that we expected the East to be very flexible this year compared to what we're going to see next year. So who are the teams that you picked that I forgot? If I'm not mistaken, you picked Orlando to the Eastern Conference
I picked the Knicks to actually make the East, so I'm right on this part. But I
Orlando
did have the Magic.
and Orlando. If I'm not mistaken, Nick had the Pistons and the Knicks. All of us had the Knicks,
Yeah,
but I
we had
picked
the Knicks.
I picked the Knicks and the Cavaliers because those are two teams that basically have more pressure compared to others that now they're making the moves. And now they're in playoff bounds. These teams have been knocking on the door for the past years of this decade. Oh, like mostly the Knicks, and you already have that nauseating fan base. I'm sorry I'm saying it here, but they are like the Dallas Cowboys. And do you imagine, Anthony, if the Knicks win the chip? Like,
New
I don't,
York will not be the
I,
same ever.
bro, I'm gonna have to move to Europe or something. I will not be standing like Knicks fans around the Heat Arena, around anywhere here in South Florida or wherever I travel. They're gonna be so annoying. Have you
They're
seen? Oh,
worldwide.
look at this win. It was a big chaos. Knicks fans fighting against Knicks fans
Well,
because they
that's
basically are
not new.
blinded. You already know that they're under the influence.
Yeah,
What other things?
those kind of things are not new, man. They've been doing
Yeah,
this since the '90s.
yeah. I mean, yeah. But at the same time, like just like the Cowboy fans, they say this is their year, so make it your year. And the Knicks, I put them to win this series against Cleveland. I had Knicks and Thunders going to the finals with OKC winning. I felt like they got more athleticism, quickness, better
Yeah,
defense, offense, all around. Jalen Williams is back. Let's see the outcome against San Antonio, because San Antonio and Cleveland on a finals for the first time since 2007. The first time that LeBron the Cavaliers went to the finals, and that was the third, if I'm mistaken, was the fourth chip that the Spurs won in franchise history. Yeah, because their fifth was in
no,
2014.
wait, you're saying Cleveland and Spurs?
The first and only time they faced in the finals, it was 2007 when
Yeah,
LeBron joined.
that was their third or second.
No, because San Antonio won 1999, 2003, 2005. The fourth was 2007 against Cleveland, and then 2014 was their fifth. They could have had it at six if they would have won the
Oh yeah, I
2013,
forgot
but
about
then
that
you saw the
one.
Ray Allen outcome of it. Thank you, Jesus
Okay, we're
Shuttlesworth.
not. We gotta stay on topic. We gotta stay on
All
topic.
right, so just to end it, what I'm trying to say is that both teams literally are where they were expected to be. Third round, even though they were not the top two teams, they were pressured. They've been knocking out the door compared to most teams. I still actually had Detroit and Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Cleveland came back from it. And since we're going to be talking about, I'm just going to say this last word, give you two response, and then we'll go to the next headline,
Mhm.
Anthony. Like, with the Knicks winning this game, this gives them new life because you've seen them choke in game ones before. And now in the biggest stage, and basically not giving up until the clock says zero, and basically having that last minute unplanned game time until they called timeout. Everybody, Mike Brown said, continue to push, continue to attack James Harden. Like Harden, both ways was humiliated. And now I feel like Cleveland's not gonna respond to this in game two. I feel like this series can go only to 5 games with the Knicks winning. So I feel like that's why this gives them more new life rather than the cast falling flat. But I'll give you the last word before we go to our next topic.
I'm still gonna say Cavs in six. I've had that. I'm gonna stick by it. Uh, Again, games they slip. Obviously, that was embarrassing, but they like that again. It's just unacceptable, and I really hope that Kenny Atkinson wakes up from that because again, that was completely unacceptable. There's no excuse for it. You can't even with James Harden's bad defense. Like again, that was completely a coaching's fault.
Did you
So
you heard his comment? He said Harden's been one of our best defenders during the playoffs, so
yeah,
we'll bounce back from
I'm
that.
gonna
And so I'm like, and so I'm
I'm
like,
gonna keep my mouth
eh,
shut on that one. But
I was literally gonna say, Kenny, can you please focus on the game plan for
yeah, I'm
that?
just
Please, like,
all I'm
you
finna
just you're
man.
just digging up your own grave for a guy that was head coach of the year last season. You're just digging up your own grave. Stop it,
Yeah,
man. You
just Cavs and six. That's all
like,
I'm gonna get that.
and you already know coaches like that. Whether they make it to the finals and don't win, whether they make it to the finals and win the chip, whether they win coach of the year, but they give them literally a timeline for 2 years. And for he could have actually been in the hot seat if they would have lost against the Pistons. That would have been two straight years being favorites in the semifinals and losing it. So
I think he's got not. I'm not saying he's got a big. I'm not saying he doesn't have a short leash, but I think the fact that he got them this far, and if Wendy, if what Wendy, what Windhorst said is correct about they're gonna re-sign James, I think he'll stick around a little longer than we probably think. But like you said, the pressure is definitely on. So let's go to our next topic.
talking about pressure, Anthony Aguirre. Why don't we stick to this individual?
Yeah,
James Harden finished with more turnovers than made field goals for the 32nd time in his playoff career. Good stats by Antonio here. Now, are the Cavaliers reliant too reliant on Harden? I'm sorry.
yeah. I mean, again, you basically took Donovan out of the mix in that overtime.
Mhm.
It didn't seem like they tried to get him involved. It just seemed more like, all right, let's play some ISO ball. Let's get Harden in all these actions and run the offense through him. Let him facilitate. Let him be the guy who was the guy in Houston and all this kind of stuff. It seemed like the wrong philosophy. I mean, I granted everyone's tired. No one in that overtime had fresh legs. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And even then, if you're gonna talk, if you're watching them attack one player specifically on defense, you got to replace that. You got to get Max Strus in there. You got to get Dean Wade more. You got to get Dean Wade more in action on defensively.
You
Like
got
don't let
offensive
him
weapons. They literally
exactly
got offensive
don't
weapons.
let him just switch. Keon Ellis, I get it. He didn't look good in the small minutes he played,
Yeah,
but again, you didn't play him most of the playoffs. So what are you gonna expect? Rust. So
exactly. Yep.
you got to get something else different other than just let Harden get switched on all these actions and then get picked apart. So again, this is where the coaching issue comes from. They did nothing to prevent Harden from getting picked off or save him or just even get him out of the game for a few minutes and get somebody else going. So I
defensively. Yeah,
so I think they're relying too much on Harden to a certain extent. And again, Donovan should be your closer. I get it if you want to run the offense through James to start the game, but Donovan it should be your closer. It should not be the other way around.
I can't disagree with all of your points, but I'm gonna go through a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
The Cavs should be reliant on Harden, and here's why.
Mm.
And here's why, Anthony. This is the worst superstar now, all star, because he's not a superstar anymore. But in his resume career, he's gonna be known as a superstar. So let's call it as that. Superstar now slash star player. The worst we've ever seen in a playoff career. Somebody that literally they give you opportunities time after time with different teams. Are you gonna show up? Are you gonna be there? This team blew the Pistons, and this dude only had 8 points. This guy was a no-show in Game 7, and they still blew the Detroit Pistons. That's what had me surprised seeing. Not to be more specific, it was 9 points, 2 for 10 shooting, 0 for 6 from the three-point line. So we give kudos to Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. All of them score over 20 points. You got Sam Merrill coming off the bench with 23, going crazy from the three-point line. But this guy was a no-show. And that's why literally nobody talked about that headline on how Harden stunk, like always on a Game 7 or a Game 6 or Game 5, even though he did a good job in Game 6, if I'm not mistaken, and they won the game. And he also had good important moments. But this is a guy that literally from Game 5 to Game 7 is a no-show. He disappears. He's already booking his flight, first class ticket to Cancun. He's getting ready for the vacation. Like when you see a guy having that type of resume with Houston, and then he's the face of the franchise. They've had to pick up Chris Paul. They've had to pick up Russell Westbrook, somebody to be basically Robin to Batman. And all of a sudden, Robin is the one showing up when big moments are needed in any team that he's been throughout his career. It was a no-show in the finals against the Miami Heat. It was a no-show in semifinals or Western Conference Finals when he needed to basically be the hero and execute for the Houston Rockets team, especially that Game 7 against the Golden State Warriors, where collectively the Rockets were horrible from the three-point line in the second half. It was
Mm-hmm.
over 20 consecutive misses. I get that. PJ Tucker had to stop that bleeding. Okay, got it. But when you're up by 12 in the first half without a Chris Paul, everything's flowing perfectly. And then all of a sudden, you start feeling the pressure by the Golden State Warriors, whether it's Curry, Klay Thompson, Durant, and all of a sudden you blow that lead. And then you're one of the reasons with the turnovers or the bad shooting. You are the cause of why he didn't make it to the finals against Cleveland 2018. Then you go to Brooklyn. Brooklyn, I'll give him a pass. Why? Because he was injured. A lot of people are not actually giving a pass with that hamstring injury, but he literally suffered it in Game 1. Then they lost Kyrie Irving. They pressured him to come Game 5, Game 6, Game 7. He's doing everything that is in his hands. Durant had to carry the team. That's the only time that I'm going to give him a pass. He goes to Philadelphia, Anthony. Do you remember that series against Miami with Joel Embiid? Like
My
always,
favorite
pro,
series.
pro, 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 pro to injury. And all of a sudden, Tyrese Maxey in his second year with the team when they traded Ben Simmons for him. In his second year, all of a sudden you see him literally yelling at James Harden. The youngster literally fighting and criticizing the OG in his second year in the league. Like a lot of people would say, man, he has the balls for that. Like he literally is yelling at him. He's fighting because he's asking him, what are you doing? It's me and Tobias Harris, the only ones producing for this team. And so they ended up losing that series when they needed him the most. Game 5, Game 6, Game 7 against Boston, which Joel Embiid also was criticized in the semifinals. Again, where's James Harden? Yo, like Drake's new song. Where's she at? Where's she at? And then he goes to the Clippers. Same issue. Playoffs come. Harden books his trip to anywhere around the world. He takes a quick vacation. That's his mindset, literally. And now we're seeing him with the Cleveland Cavaliers. A lot of people giving him his last shot. You have Donovan Mitchell, who was hungry to finally make it to his first conference finals. You see him balling in game one. And then, if you're not going to basically execute defensively and you're getting bullied around by the whole Knicks team, you need to do something offensively. And so I know that you're going to probably ask me, Raul, so why are we giving him the benefit of the doubt if every time all he does is disappoint? Because literally, with all the millions that he's making throughout his career, people saying that he's better than Dwayne Wade, that he's had a better
Okay.
career than Dwayne Wade, that just makes me crazy.
Raul, we can't be going this far off topic with Dwayne Wade. I respect them, but we can't go this far off topic, please.
Well, but do you agree with the fans saying that Harden has had a better career than Wade?
No,
Or
but
he's
I'm
a
just
better,
saying. I'm just saying for the sake. I'm just saying for the sake of our show, we can't go this off topic.
Okay,
but.
I got you. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So just to wrap it up, literally, it's now or never for Harden. No matter if he stays with Cleveland or he joins another team before he retires, like he literally needs to be the guy since he mostly has the ball in his hands to execute for the Cavaliers. That's why they are still giving him the benefit of the doubt. That's why they're too reliant on him, because this is his last moments to even make it to a finals and try to get his first chip. The only big thing he has is being a couple of times All NBA first team, a lot of times, various occasions, All Star, being recognized one of the best proficient scorer of all time, and the MVP. Get it? And so that's why a lot of people give him that type of pressure and expectation to show up in big moments. So what I'm trying to say is that they should be relying on him, even though Donovan Mitchell is the one that is going to deliver the goods for you at the end of the moment.
Yeah.
But I
Again,
understand that Kenny Atkinson. I understand what you say about Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah, my biggest critic is just it didn't seem like it seemed like they intentionally did not want to get Mitchell involved or didn't try to. That's my big issue with it. I understand if you're gonna run things too hard in a few plays here and there. I do understand it, but it does not excuse or give you any reason to move away from the guy who, like you're saying, has shown up more and delivered the goods way more than the other star. That's my main issue, is the fact that they didn't really, it just, again, it seemed intentional that they didn't try to get him involved as much. The ball wasn't moving,
Yeah,
and it just seemed like a lot of forced
I
shots.
agree. Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Kenny Atkinson's new game plan, but like from our first topic, I feel like the Cavaliers are heartbroken from this, and to recover from a
They should
loss
be.
like that, I don't feel like they're gonna respond in game two. I see the Knicks taking over and having a commanding lead 2-0.
I I,
But
I
now,
agree with you there.
but talking about this topic, that can all change if Harden plays Houston Rockets regular season, not playoffs, regular season Houston Rockets, James Harden. That's all I can say about that. I still have the Knicks winning in 5 games. How do you see the series going before we go to our last topic?
I say
And
I
now
say
switching to the Western.
again. Well, I say Cavs in 6.
Cavs in 6.
I've been saying it. I'm gonna die by it.
I wonder what's Nick's choice in this one, especially for the Thunder and Spurs. Do you have the Spurs now having advantage and winning the series in
No,
6 or 7, or you still have
I
the
my
champions Thunder?
thing with the Spurs, yes, they have so much good talent, and yes, they're getting over the hump. But
They've
this is
been the
the thing.
kryptonite. That's the only team that literally has given
I
a headache to the Thunder. The Thunder only have one win against them this season.
and
Only
I
one
get,
win.
yeah, I understand the regular season of it, but I just don't see out. I don't see how they can keep surviving without Fox for most. If
Yeah,
he's out,
he's
if
ruled
he
out. He was ruled out for game 2. Yeah,
exactly. So if he
he was ruled out
stays
for game
away,
2.
if he stays sidelined, I don't see how they keep surviving without him. Yes, Stephon Castle is great, but Dylan Harper, I'm not too sure about him in the playoffs.
I mean,
Outside of
you
game
saw what
one,
he didn't. Yeah.
I get it. I get it, but you can be young and have good games here and there. But I'm not. For me, I'm not convinced just yet with this Spurs team specifically. I'm just not convinced yet, especially when Wemby's off the floor. I'm not convinced just yet.
They got to put him in foul problems. They got to put him in foul problems. Literally bait him to that. I mean, because Wemby literally, man,
Yeah,
I already knew it. I understand the hype, but when we're talking about like when LeBron retires, when Curry retires, Durant, who's gonna be the face of the franchise? Everybody's been talking about Wemby, but then you got a Jokic, you got a Giannis that at one point like literally looked like the face of the league. You got SGA, back-to-back MVP, could win a back-to-back championship. Like you got all these international players, and then we're talking about from the American side, you got Anthony Edwards, who is a big show. You got the Jason Tatums, the Jalen Brunsons, etc. At the end of the day, Team USA won in the All Star, and World lost both games against the young and OGs of Team USA. But literally, when you're seeing Wembayama on the court, you're like, man, they're convincing me even more that literally all that hype of him being the new face of the league is actually true. Nobody can
I
stop
do.
it. And Jet Holmgren, the only stop that he had was that block that
But
could
he had
have
help.
won that game.
That was a help
He had
defense.
help. Yeah, that was a help defense. I understand that. I mean, that's what you got to do in order to stop
Yeah,
that alien, that monster,
of
that
course.
beast.
My main issue with the Spurs, and I feel like people are not gonna really agree with this on me, is just outside of Wemby, who can you legitimately trust in the playoffs to take over? You can say Fox, but he hasn't made
Yeah,
it
he's been
past
rolled out.
this. You can say Fox, but he's never made it this far yet, and he's already out for
Yeah.
the first 2 games.
Mm.
So I can't give him any praises there. Luke Kennard is a role player. Yes, he made it far. He won a championship, but he's a role player. He's not going to take over games. Can you trust Devon Castle to take over games, even though his 3-point shooting is not where it is just yet? It could be further for sure. Dylan Harper, you're gonna trust
I
him?
mean, Stephen Castle has big moments in this playoffs.
I agree with that, but I don't trust him yet to
Devin
take over games.
Basil, Keldon Johnson, like they got good. Harrison Barnes, who's won championships. I mean, a
These
championship with
these
the
guys are
Warriors.
good. No, trust me. I understand. I hear you. These guys are good, but I'm not fully trusting them yet to take over a game the same way Vic can, or like if Vic is out, it changes everything about
Yeah,
them, and I just
yeah.
don't see them even winning that game.
Just to end this topic, talking about
Yeah,
basically Texas players. I mean, Cooper Flag and Dylan Harper both were
first team all rookie.
first team all rookie. And since we're talking about two Texas players, we're gonna move out to our next topic. But
Yeah,
what I'm trying to, I got Thunders in 7,
I
but
got Thunder.
the main reason is because I believe Mark Dano will outcoach Mitch Johnson.
1,000%.
Kudos to Mitch Johnson in game 1. Let's see the rest of the season and what he's done during the season and during the playoffs. But if somebody would tell me it's not about the SGAs or the Jalen Williams or the Chet Holmgren matching with these first players, I will talk about more. I believe in Mark Dano winning this battle over Mitch Johnson. So, but I'm giving respect to the Spurs. I have them going to a 7-game series. All right. So before we go to our last
Yeah,
topic,
Raul, I was gonna say, like, before we head over, I got a message to give to our people because man, I am starving over here. I gotta get some good food. I gotta find the best food here in South Florida. Well, guess what? Metropol Restaurant has officially opened its doors in Miami. If you're craving delicious Puerto Rican or Cuban food, you have to visit Metropol Restaurant at Dolphin Mall. Or even like you mentioned, Uber Eats. It comes to your doors. So please, they offer the best fried pork. Already off to a good start. The
man,
best ribs, the best stuffed chicken, the best congri rice, the best croquetas, and so much,
and now
much
they're adding
more.
seafood platters, man.
Not my cup of tea,
So
but my girl does love some seafood. So hey, Metropole Restaurant, slide through, Remember, Metropol Restaurant at Dolphin Mall or Uber Eats to your own doors. Thank
Yes,
you, Metropol.
sir.
Thank you, Metropol, for sponsoring our videos.
Yes, sir. And no stain to Cuban cuisines like La Carreta and like Molina's Ranch. Also, Puerto Rican places like El Bajareque and others. But sorry, Metropol dominates all of you guys. It's literally Thanos against the Avengers. Let's go to our last topic. Now, Anthony, this could be surprising or not.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear your take about this.
Yeah.
But after the recent hiring, the new president, Masai Ujiri, which did a good job with the Raptors, a reason why they won their first ship in franchise history, first finals appearance, and won the first ship. A lot of people are going to be talking about also what if Durant or Klay Thompson wasn't injured. Obviously, the
Of course.
Warriors were gonna be favorite to win it all. But at the same time, we can never discredit teams that win a chip, no matter who they're facing, either if they're a flexible team or it's a team that has like a lot of injury problems. Like a chip is a chip. The same
Yeah.
thing. Same thing. If Halliburton wouldn't got injured, people are talking about Indiana winning it all. At the end of the day, the Thunders were the favorite. They were the better team. It was gonna be neck to neck till the end. Thunders ended winning it all. So now this is a team that has actually surprised in making it twice to Western Conference Finals. 2022, when literally they had nobody. It was only Luca and Jalen Brunson was rising. They had so many injury problems with Tim Hardaway being out. They literally didn't have at all depth at the bench, and they surprised a team that was number one, the team that was supposed to return to the finals, the Phoenix Suns. Especially that game 7 that Luka Doncic had the exact points that the Suns had in the first half.
Chris
27.
Paul cuts the lead to 42.
Yes, man. I mean, it was humiliating. And then you saw them make it to the finals in 2024. Yeah, they were a good team, but I feel like they were not the better team than Minnesota. Minnesota literally had an amazing season. They were the best defensive. They knocked out the champs at that moment, which was the Denver Nuggets. So I said, whoever beats the Nuggets is going to the finals. All of a sudden, Luka goes crazy. Kyrie is impactful. And then the pieces that they acquired, like PJ Washington, Daniel Gaffer, having a rookie like Derek Lively, yeah, they were a good team, but they didn't have those expectations to go on all the way to the NBA Finals. So he had a rough start as a coaching career, 2013, 2014 with the Brooklyn Nets, when Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett joined Darren Williams and Brook Lopez. They lost in the second round against Miami. Beautiful. Then with Milwaukee, he brought that team, a young team that was basically rebuilding with a upcoming Genesis Tucumpo twice to the playoffs. He wins a chip as an assistant with the Lakers. And then let's just say he reinvents himself with the Dallas Mavericks. So what we've seen throughout his 5-year career with the Mavericks, especially the past two, which they have not made it to the playoffs, we could say that this team had so many bad luck. 2025, 2026. Was this a right move by Dallas?
I think so, but not because he deserved to be fired.
Okay.
I think it's more so because when not because now you are this is a new era. I think Jason Kidd is a kind of coach that would rather he's better with veterans than he probably is with younger players. I mean, let's just say he went nuts on Giannis as a young player, so I don't know if that
It
will
was it
slide.
was a young team that Milwaukee was rebuilding
Yeah,
With Janice starting his career, and he brought them twice to the playoffs
yeah, but
with no
we
expectations
can't
for
really
them.
say he developed them though. We can't really say that there are other factors into those kind of guys,
It was
but
mostly Mike Budenholzer. I understand that, but
yeah,
before him, it was the
I'm just
kid.
saying. I think if you're a contender who has veterans, I think that's a better suit for Jason Kidd for his leadership skills. I just don't see maybe translating to younger players like Cooper Flag. And I'm not even saying, and again, not saying he's a bad coach. It's just more
Yeah,
so not the right personnel. Also, if you're also training a player like Luca, that disrupts everything organization from top to bottom. So
and
with that,
outside, and outside,
exactly.
and outside fan
So
base.
with that comes a new start. You need a new start. You need a new voice. You need a new leader. I don't know who they're gonna get. Maybe they stay internally with someone who's on the staff or whoever's left.
Like successor.
But
Yeah.
But I think Kid will find a new spot elsewhere. If anything, maybe the Magic that could be a good opening. I know Billy Donovan has been the name mostly mentioned, but now that Kid's available, you we could
Yeah,
see. I
I
mean,
forgot
you
mostly. I forgot mostly got fired and signed with the Pelicans.
yeah, and
Forgot about
also
that one.
I would say this. I think Jason Kidd would do really good leadership wise for the Magic. You need someone tougher because not saying Jamal's not tough, but I didn't really see that strong head hard leadership on from the outside looking in. So
Okay.
I think Jason Kidd could
That's not a
provide
bad
that
choice. Yeah,
for the
that's not
Magic because the Magic have the talent. They just need the
yeah.
guy on the sidelines to just give him to give it to them when they need that hardcore ass leadership. That's in my opinion. So I
That's a
think maybe that's the way to go.
that's a very good take. I agree with that fully. I mean, with the Magics, I think he can take them over the hump and literally make them go back to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first
Yeah,
time,
they
which will
simply
be
need a
since
hard nosed
2009.
leader.
Yeah, little and Jason Kidd, like with those jump guards they have, he can help them develop. You know what I'm saying? Like be a little bit more effective, so they don't have to rely on Paulo Banquero and Franz Wagner. In my opinion, like
Yes,
I feel like Jalen Suggs can do a much better job. We
yes,
saw we saw what transpired with Cole Anthony. Like he got traded because basically he wasn't bringing what they were asked about him. He can develop a guy like Anthony Black and others that can come to that team. So that's a really good pick. Now I don't agree with the firing.
okay,
I feel like I mean what transpired for the Mavericks. Anthony Davis injured. Irving didn't play this season. Like, and then they traded Anthony Davis. Like, it was a whole chaos. They fired Nico Harrison. Like, there were so many things going on with this team that you weren't like on paper they look like a contending team.
just to jump in real quick, Raul. I don't see how the Mavericks could have even thought that Kyrie would play this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the same thing. I mean, yeah. What do you think is worse, torn ACL or torn Achilles? I mean, both of them are. Clay
Uh,
Thompson would know. Clay Thompson would know.
it's
He had
hard to
both.
it's hard to say because I think because there's factors like that your age that's a big factor in how far you come
True.
back because
True.
Kyrie's injury at his age is way different than
Yeah,
Tatum at his.
of course.
So
Yeah.
I understand he could have potentially played, but I never saw Kyrie coming back. If I didn't see Tatum coming back, I definitely didn't see Kyrie coming back at all this year. So I don't see
Yeah.
how the Mavericks could even thought that he would either.
So he finished off with a exact record of 205, 205 wins and losses. Two Western Conference Finals appearances, including the NBA Finals in 2024. He had a rough start as a coaching, but now with what he did as an assistant with the Lakers, the Mavericks saw potential in him again, and then he literally did a good job with this
Yeah.
team throughout his career. Now, what I'm gonna say is I don't agree with this move. I feel like he should have one more season with a more stable roster, especially what they can do in the nearest NBA draft. If they can convince Kyrie to stay, and they can make moves during free agency, because Kid is a big part of those
Yeah.
decisions. Now, Masai Ujiri, he's gonna literally, he's gonna do a better job than Nico Harrison. He's literally gonna turn the tables with this team. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. And
Hmm.
I'm actually happy for Jason Kidd. And I feel like he's relieved. Why? Because he was already having issues with the organization when they made that move, not consulting him about trading Luka Doncic. After they traded Doncic, he literally lost hope in that team. He lost hope in that organization, mostly with Nico Harrison. There was rumors that they were basically bumping heads. That was one of
There's also a report. I forgot who it was, so I'm not gonna say that it's like legit.
a source.
No,
Or,
yeah, I don't know who the report was. I forgot who it was. I gotta go back to it, but
okay.
apparently the report says that Kid actually supported trading Doncic.
If your source, I mean, if that source is true,
Like
then
that's even more insane.
then in this case, understand Uhiri firing him, because that would be wow. I mean, like if that is true, Anthony, that is crazy. He
Yeah,
should get
again, let's take it with
he
a
should
grain of salt, but if that's true, oh my gosh.
he should get his brain checked. And at the same time, now Orlando should consider if hiring him, because you imagine if all of a sudden Orlando goes crazy Should we trade Paulo? Yes. What?
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Well,
if you take a decision like that, whether it was that you didn't like his physical condition, his ability to
yeah, I
defend,
was gonna say.
this and that, like a lot are taking that in consideration. But man, when you're loved by a fan base, when you're literally Dirk Nowitzki's successor, when you've taken that team twice to the Western Conference Finals and one NBA Finals appearances, you with Kyrie, defensively, they still weren't a bad team when with those big men and perimeter defenders, and then acquiring Najee Marshall. Like that team, at the end of the day, when they traded Luka, he missed like a month and a half. Like he was injured. There was a lot of outcome throughout that scenery, but come on, Anthony, you're gonna tell me that was like the most surprising move we've ever seen in any sports.
I think it's just worse of the fact that what they got in return. If you because if Nico Harrison had gone, let's say he had 5 unprotected first rounders and good young players, we'd be
Exactly. Yeah,
we,
I agree.
we'd be talking like, okay, this is actually a good return. But the fact that it was Anthony Davis, that's what made it worse.
Max Christie, and then
Yeah,
a round pick, and then a first round
yeah,
pick.
just one. So that made it worse because again,
I feel
I
like
don't.
Nico sabotaged on purpose that
Yeah,
organization.
again,
Like
I don't.
like
My thing
the
is,
writing on the wall.
I'm not saying trading Luca is the best thing ever. Because I get frustrated watching him play defense and watching him complain to refs all the time. So
Yeah,
I understand it, but it's just the return that made it 10 times
the return
worse.
was bad. Exactly. Like and when you're seeing players like Mikal Bridges with the Knicks had
Yeah,
to sacrifice so many first round picks. When you're seeing other players that are not superstar
Rudy
level,
Gobert.
Rudy Gobert. No, but no, that was the most craziest. The 5 players, and then what was it like 4 or 5
It was
first
like
round,
four
first and
unprotected first
second
rounders.
rounders? Like no, that was the most craziest ever. That was the most craziest. But you've seen lately so many trades that it just doesn't make sense. Now the Luca doesn't make sense in a bad way, like in the worst way, because you
Yeah,
literally, like you said, you could have got so many more assets. Even the Lakers, Rob Pelinka was. I wanted to see his face when Nico Harrison said, "I agree," because I feel like Pelinka was just like, he's not gonna accept it, but I'll just go with it. And all of a sudden he says yes. He's like, "All right, make the call, make the
as
call.
as
Let's
as
do it."
we know in the business, you don't start off trades with your best offer.
I agree that, man, you should also go study for agent's license. I mean, at the end of the day, you're a big time writer.
I
Can't wait,
appreciate that, man.
can't wait for us to be recruited. Networks like Fox Sports or NBC, ABC, ESPN. We're working on that, but I understand the move, but I still feel like they could have given him one more year. But
Mhm.
I feel like Jason Kidd is relieved an Orlando job, and any other teams that like after the playoffs end, we're probably gonna see some other firing because some teams just wait
Yeah,
to
yeah, it's bound to
have
happen here
have
and
that
there.
have that publicity towards them, so they don't talk about the playoffs. They like to do it during like with the beginning of summer after the NBA finals are over, NFL, NBA draft, free agency, etc. We're probably gonna be seeing teams letting go of their coaches. So this kid is gonna keep his options on the table, but I agree with it. I can't think about another team that can suit him better. So Orlando, I think that's the perfect one for him to take him over the hump and to take them to a conference finals, which he already has twice
Mhm.
appeared this decade, and what Orlando hasn't since 2009. Anthony,
Also,
last words?
Orlando fits his exact philosophy, which is defense.
Exactly, and also what he can develop with his point guards and guards that he has on the team with Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs. I feel like those players were selected top 10 first rounders. They can be a little bit more impactful and have games that can basically help out Paulo Banquero and Franz Wagner when they're struggling alone on an island, and then you don't see them role players or bench players basically helping them out. I feel like Jason Kidd and other moves that they can make during free agency like they did with Desmond Bain, Orlando could be a very scary team with acquiring him.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we conclude our new episode of Section 305, the Sports Show. I'm Raul Pagan with my colleague Anthony Aguirre. Hopefully, we have Nick Dupont next week. Everybody, have a good rest of the week.